Welcome to the Performance Matters Podcast with your hosts, Matrix Ferreira and Miles Methner. Brought to you by Iron Performance Center.
All right, what's going on, everyone? We're back on the Performance Matters Podcast. You got all three of us today, myself, Coach Miles, and of course, Coach Aiden. First off, big shout out to our sponsor, Peak Method Photography, the premier sportsographer in the Niagara region. All right, you can reach him, www.peakmethodphotography.com. As always, support local. Now, prefacing today's episode, Valentine's Day. Right, Valentine's Day is this week, so naturally, I think it would be fair to talk about. Don't get weird now. We're not talking about like romantic shit, but I think it's a pretty good time to talk about the support aspect when it comes to health, fitness, and of course training. Right, so I think sometimes this might not get talked about enough. A lot of our athletes, whether in high school, university, college, pro, whatever it might be, it really does kind of symbolize that it does take a village to kind of pursue excellence at the highest level. We know that less than 1% ever get to that pinnacle of provincial, national, championships, that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people kind of get left to the wayside to actually talk about like how they actually got there, right? Like who do they go home to? When they were younger, how did their parents support them? What does that look like? You know what I'm talking about? So I think that'd be a pretty good way to kickstart things off is what does support look like, let's say at the high school level?
First thing first is that it's not just cheerleading, right? Way to go, you got this, like you're the best. Like you said, a lot of people probably don't realize, especially if you're not a parent of a child playing sports in this day and age, like you already mentioned, the driving, having to feed these kids, having to invest your time and money into extra training, whether it's strength and conditioning or skill sessions, whatever your sport may be. Support always also looks like knowing when not to say anything. So, like, you all know, like, that classic, parent on the ride home from the game trying to tell the kid everything they did wrong. Like, support looks like knowing when to do that or probably to never do that and actually let the kid be in the driver's seat and kind of take the reins on that kind of aspect of it. But
yeah, 100% agree. It's really doesn't get recognized enough, in my opinion. Like, all the effort and support that is given to these younger athletes, like, it doesn't really fall under, hey, just being there. It's always being there, Yeah,
it's like a full-time job. That's actually a good point, too. Like, even just, it means, obviously, like, the world to kids for their parents, their friends to actually, like, show up and watch a game, right? Take time out of their day or their week and actually show up and watch the game is huge as well.
Yeah, it does make a big difference. I know we make time throughout the season to go watch a lot of our athletes play, which, I personally think it's enjoyable.
That's the most fun part.
Yeah, I think it's really enjoyable. You get to watch them in their element, but also like it's a night out. You know what I mean? So let's say they're playing on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I'll ask Jessica, like, hey, do you want to go catch a basketball game? Like, she's pretty much down anytime too. It's like, hey, we need something to do on a night. Why not make an evening out of it? You know what I mean? So, for example, this past weekend we had to go watch the Ethier brothers play, right? Carter and Quentin Ridley. So it was a great opportunity also to, support them in their basketball. See them do their thing on the court, but also catch up with Coach Vic. And they of course beat the team from Ottawa. But yeah, I was like, hey, what do we do on Saturday? I said, well, let's make a night out of it. We'll catch the game. The game's at 4 o'clock. We'll, watch them do their thing, and then we can grab dinner after and, call it a weekend. So it's kind of fun, really. Like, you get the chance to make a night out of it for yourself, but also you get to go out there and support your kids doing the things that they love to do and watch them kind of thrive in their own element. I think that doesn't get kind of highlighted enough. It doesn't always have to be for athletes either, right? Like, it could be for anyone who's just throwing a thing. Like, hey, so-and-so's having like a birthday. Okay, make a thing out of it. Like, celebrate them and some milestones for them, right? They hit a PR, like, make something out of it, support them in that. But I think a lot of times, yeah, parents have they're the other half of that coin when it comes to their athletes' career, essentially, right? Like, they're cooking, they're driving, their weekends are pretty much spoken for driving their kids, where they have 1, 2, or more athletes, to their tournaments, their games, spending their money on hotel rooms to make sure that they can get ready for the next day. So, I think there's a lot of things that, they should be recognized for, you know what I mean? Like, parents have a pretty hard role in supporting their athlete. It is a job, like you said, its own realm.
And it's also their first support system. Whether they have like friends that do it along the way, they're more committed coaches, everything. But whatever level they start at, probably younger, their first fan was always their parents.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think that was the same. I think we all had that experience, right? Growing up doing sports, it's like, you kind of like do a bunch of sports when you're young, and your parents are still driving. Like, I sucked at soccer. I wanted to play basketball. I was short as shit. Couldn't play. But they still took the time to like drive you, support you, register you. Like, spend their hard-earned dollars to like get you involved in that aspect because that's something you wanted to do, and that was at your time of curiosity to see if that was something you actually thrived in, you know. And then obviously as you get older, now they're, you know, watching you kind of thrive in your environment. They're watching you kind of find the niche that you want to focus on. They're the ones driving you to tournaments again. They're the ones packing your lunches. They're the ones packing snacks for your tournament day. They're the ones that literally pick you up when you're feeling at your absolute worst.
Right.
You know what I mean? I remember this was, I think, my first year university. I was a freshman, and I was in the OUA bronze final. And I was nervous as shit, right? Like it's your, you know, if you place top 3, you go to CIs or whatever it is, U Sports now, but you go to CIs, so it's like, okay, it was a big deal. And the guy I was fighting, he always used to kick my ass when I was younger. He was like a 3rd or 4th year at U of T at the time, but when I remember like coming up in high school, he was always really good, and he, you know, he still was. But I remember being so nervous for the match. Like I was like probably like 10, 15 minutes before my match was up. I was just like, where was it? I think it was Thunder Bay. My mom flew out to watch me, and I remember kind of sitting there in the corner, and I was like so nervous. I got to the point where I was almost on tears. I was so nervous. I was like so, just like, not like scared to lose, but I was just like so emotional at that point. I'm like, okay, I really have to win. Like I want to.
You just want it so bad.
I want it so bad. I really want to qualify to go to the nationals as a freshman. And I was sitting there, and my mom like found me, and she comes up, and you know, it's gonna be okay. Like you'll be all right. Like just go do your thing. And I remember just like giving her a hug, and she hugged me, and she's like, "You got this." And then I go out there and I win, and like there's an overtime.
Makes for a lot better story, eh?
Yeah, I got my
mom covered me, and then I lost, and I just fucking everything.
But it's like number like, and I remember there's multiple examples. My parents came out to support me. I remember when I won my second national title. My dad flew out to New Brunswick. My mom was going through some health stuff. She flew out to New Brunswick to come support me. Like they didn't have to come. Mm-hmm. You know, you're an older athlete, like 21, whatever at the time. So, but they flew out across the country on their own dime to come watch you. I remember my first year, I think it was junior nationals. I was 18. It was in Alberta, and I remember my mom couldn't come watch that one, so it was like cross country. But you know, the day before the tournament, I was in the hotel room, like just kind of getting my stuff ready for the next day. So I opened up my bag, and then all of a sudden, like there was a letter on my bag. I guess she kind of snuck it in there before I left. But there was a letter in my bag. I opened the letter, and it was just like this very nice, heartfelt letter from my mom, just, you know, wish me well, and all these really, really nice things. I was like, that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Like that's something I'm still talking about. You know what I mean? Like, even when my career's over and everything else, but it's like that's something that just kind of stuck to me. It's like, okay, like it's a really fundamental thing having a support system. Like you're not really an island. As much as like a big chunk of your career is really dictated by you, what enables you to actually accelerate your career is going to be who can support you along the way for when shit gets like, because there are going to be those moments.
Yep.
Multiple of those moments where people are like, you're going to feel like in this dark place for whatever reason, whether you're afraid, whether you're nervous or whatever it is, right? Like you need people in your corner to kind of keep you sane. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
I really like that. It kind of like emphasized the point that no sport, even if it's individual, is not really an individual sport. Like every sport is a team sport because you have this whole support system, whether you are the only one stepping on the mat, in the ring, whatever, even if you're just the only one actually competing, you have this whole system of people and teammates that want to see you succeed.
It's almost like F1 or something. Like you're driving the car, but like you have the whole pit crew, you have everybody tuning the car up, right? It's kind of the same thing. Like that's what popped in my head right away. Like you're on the court, the mat, the field, the ice, whatever, but you have that whole team behind you.
And they feel invested. Like your win is their win too, because they were there for every step of the way.
Right. It's no different than coaches, right? That's why I think you know, coaches have a right to be emotionally invested. I always, you know, you try to keep things objective, like on the coaching side of things. You want to give like quantifiable feedback, so there's something you can kind of sink your teeth into to like correct and make better. But I think it can be enhanced by subjective and emotional investment. Like I think you're supposed to be emotional invested. You know what I mean? Like coaches feel loss. You know what I mean? Because like it's out of their control. Like when the whistle blows, like there's nothing they can really do except hopefully facilitate and provide some guidance. But those are split second decisions that have to be made by the athlete. So I think it's fair for them to be emotionally invested, right? Like you said, when they lose, the coach loses, and they feel that. Parents lose, right? Absolutely. When the kid wins, coaches win, the parents win. They feel, you know, that aura that comes off the victory or the loss, you know, resonates and kind of ripples out to that first branch, which is going to be your support network. They feel that shit too.
Because they see, kind of like to your point before, that they're your first support system, and they're your closest support system. So like your coach is very invested in, sees you at practice or at games or at training, but then your parents also see you at home, right? How you react after a win or how you react after a loss.
With winning, losing, moving on, staying home, whatever. Like they see every step of preparation that went there. They're usually the ones driving, taking you home. Like they see the whole process, not just when practice happens, games happen.
Right. So many car rides home, like, I guess me reflecting, I'll say, to my dad or to my parents in general, like, how bad I think I played sometime or something, and they gotta, like, console me, for lack of a better word. Like, the coach isn't dealing with that part. Right. So, like, they have that whole extra bit of baggage, for lack of a better word. Like, certain things you don't ever want to admit to a coach because you're like, I don't want to affect my playing time, right? So, you're like, your parents have to deal with that extra aspect of it, too, where you're almost, venting to them about maybe you thought you should have played different. Or, like, at times, politics happen in sports, or sometimes at least you think it's political, so sometimes you're maybe venting to your parents about that. I think I should have played more, but so-and-so's playing, whatever. Like, they have to deal with that whole extra aspect as well.
It's funny how that role happens, though. You can, like, talk to them about that, not necessarily game aspect, because they might not know every little detail that should have happened on the field. Your coach might, but you can talk to them about everything that was going on in your head that, like you said, you might not want to say to your coach.
Sometimes you don't want to admit it because you think it might affect your standing on the team, right? So
I think it's important you have those different pillars, I would call them, where you can say and lean on certain things. Like everyone, like your support system, whether it's your parents, your coaches, your friends, there are certain people that you will lean on for different parts of support. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, your coaches you rely on for guidance, facilitation of how can I get to the next step in my career in terms of my athletic performance. Your parents, maybe they know the sport or not, it's besides the point, but you'll probably rely more on your parents for like the emotional support to kind of keep you clean between the ears, you want to call it that. Like you're going to trust them with certain knowledge from, your certain perspective. You're going to trust your coach with a certain perspective. There's going to be, I think everyone has like these guardrails of information and feelings that they will only open up to certain pillars of their network. And that's why I think having a broad support network is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like you have a very intimate, close group of people, like, and they all have different roles, I would say, as their support system. And then you rely on those different pillars. No different than, you can compare it to like a business you want. Like, here, these are the accountants, I lean on them for this. Here's my lawyers, I rely on them for this. You know what I mean? Like, here's my, tech people, here's what I rely on them. So you have different things, different facets of support, and you rely on your network accordingly.
Same corporation, different divisions, right?
Exactly, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So you have, like, your network, it's exactly as you said, corporation, different divisions.
And hopefully the tough part, sorry to cut you off, but the tough part sometimes is, as a parent, like, you need to be able to give your kid honest feedback, though, too. When a kid just gets into that spiral of, like, coach hates me, it's all political, like, sometimes it's hard, but you might have to be like, well, what part of that can you control?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I think in terms of that, I find it weird. I find it like, it's always like, in a relationship, like, when one person's kind of losing it, like, let's say they're going down a spiral, the other person, like, even though they might be having their own thing, they kind of like almost become stoic in a way. Like when shit's hitting the fan, there's always one person. If, there's two people, one person's going off the rail a little bit. The other person naturally becomes stoic, and they become the voice of reason, even if they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think one of us has to.
I think it's a weird default. You know what I mean? Like I think like if you're looking at relationships, absolutely. Like if your partner is kind of like having a day. Even if you're having a day, but there are days like,
it's worse.
It's worse.
Someone's gonna be having a worse day.
Suddenly you become stoic and you're like, okay, like walk me through it. You know what I mean?
Shit, I was ready to vent.
Yeah, damn. Not today. Today I'm the stoic one. But I think parents kind of have to be in that role. So I think it'd be kind of fun to give some ideas of what that support might look like from a parent. Again, I'm not a parent, right? But I think we hear a lot of things from our end, right? And there's things, like I said, it's we talked about corporation divisions. Athletes will tell us things that they won't tell their parents. They probably won't even tell their sport coaches. And that's privilege, that's a privileged place to be in, right? But knowing all the things we know and what we've heard and, over the years from hearing these athletes, I think a big thing that parents can probably like tune into, it's like the thing that they're looking for the most is literally just exactly love, genuine love. Yeah. Right? Genuine love regardless of an outcome. I'm not saying you have to kind of like, dance around the fact that, okay, if they sucked at something, they sucked at something, right? But I'm sure they know they had a bad performance or they know that things didn't go the right way. So all you're going to be doing if you kind of like drill that back at them is going to be beating a dead horse. And I think a bigger issue like that's going to be a byproduct of that is they're no longer going to trust you with...
They're not coming back to you.
They're not coming back to you to rely on you for support.
Here's another adult who doesn't listen to me. Who I get dismissed by, right?
Right. So I think like on that car ride home, if they've had a bad game, they probably know they had a bad game. Yeah. I would maybe encourage you to ask better questions of your athlete, like, what did you think you did well?
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, bad game. Like, was there one thing you think you did well? Okay, from that bad game, was there one thing that, you know, you'd like to work on this week? You know what I mean? I think just asking better questions where they can now self-organize and self-realize and maybe like take that negative emotion and start to funnel it into something that's going to be productive in the week to come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that could help.
Find a silver lining in the dark cloud.
Yeah.
There's no athlete ever who like played a game or a competition or whatever and did every single thing wrong. Like, it's so easy to feel like that in the moment, but they always say, like, about film, it's never as good as you think, it's never as bad as you think. So whether it's in practice, in a game, in the moment, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Like, I'm worthless. How am I even on the field or court right now? Like, then you watch the game after on the film, and you're like, actually, I didn't play too bad.
It's always worse than you think.
A couple I'd love to have back, but you're like, you know what? There was some bright spots. So, yeah, totally, if you can redirect it to focus on the bright spots and how to repeat them, but then also constructively, how do I maybe eliminate some of those other spots? That's like a reasonable take. Instead of just being the parent that's just screaming at the kid on the way home, but also don't just be blowing smoke up their ass either.
No, but I think a big part of that too is going to be timing.
Yeah,
a big part of this is going to be timing. Like there has to be, and again, this is going to be kind of like a tricky place to navigate. But I think timing is going to be important. Like if it's fresh, they might need time to either not say anything, kind of like live in there a little bit, like let them process their emotions their own way. And they might need to vent, and that's fine too. You know what I mean? Like, I think timing is going to be huge, especially right after the moment. If you know, like, okay, they really suck today, they probably know that, number one. And number two, this might not be something you want to talk about problem solving maybe until tomorrow. Let it rest.
Yeah, 24-hour rule.
You know what I mean? Let it rest. Let them kind of live there for a bit, and tomorrow, when the emotions have dissipated a little bit more, right? They're probably still fresh, but it's dissipated. You know, the fire's calmed down a bit. Now you can start asking those questions where it might be better. So, okay, what do you want to do about it?
Right.
You know, like in the moment, it might be good to just let them either process it, or if they have to vent, let them vent. It's like, hey, this is like a, you know, confidential zone. Like, if you gotta say something, I'm not gonna respond. Like, how do you want me to respond right now? If that's something you want, you know, like they know their feelings. Like they're feeling a bunch of things. They may not know how to process it, but they're feeling a lot of stuff, and they might just need to have a place to kind of get that out.
Right.
And if you're a parent or a really close friend or family member, and that you can become that sounding board, you might need to be the sounding board for a little bit so they can just kind of release all that tension. The next day, there might be a better time to like revisit and be like, okay, what do you want to do about this now? You know what I mean? Like, hey, you had your chance to vent. What do you want to do about it? Like, what direction do you want to go?
It could also come back to that kind of different pillars of support thing. Like, one person you might not say anything to. Like, let's say your parent, you don't really talk about them to that kind of thing, but you see your coach the next day, and then you guys might have it out, talk about everything you did wrong. So I think it really comes down to who you rely on, back to what we said before which area of support.
Yeah, I had a great roommate. Actually, it wasn't even my roommate. In university, my first year, one of the wrestlers lived, you know, in a different res. So I would go visit him, and I met his roommate, and his roommate was awesome guy, had nothing to do with sports. Like, he was into music, art, culture, right? Like, knew nothing about sports. But he was an awesome guy to talk to about shit, you know what I mean? Like, he would actually come out and watch some of our matches and stuff like that. If they were local, he would come out and support. He knew nothing. And you could have the shittiest fucking match. I remember, like, getting my ass kicked one day, and I'd come off the mat, like, literally sweat covered, still singlet still up. And he was sitting there. I was, like, pissed off, and I was kind of walking by him. He was like, hey, he's like, I think you did really well out there. I was like, thanks, man. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know any better, but he saw you trying. Or, like, he didn't know. He's like, oh, wow, you actually went out there. Hey, I think you did really well. And they don't know any better. They're just there to support. But then all of a sudden, you know, they go out for dinner after, and then you start just talking, like, man, I did this. And he's just sitting like, wow, that must have been hard. Like, yeah, I bet that is frustrating. Like, literally felt like a therapist at the time because he was so out of touch with the actual sport, but that was also very refreshing.
Kind of like humanized it.
Humanize it, yeah. You're like this guy like doesn't know anything about the sport. He doesn't care how good I do or don't do. He was just happy to watch me do my thing. And, like, I think we reciprocated that, too. We'd go watch him do his, like, piano recitals and go to art museums because he enjoyed it. He'd pick apart everything, and he'd kind of feel a certain way. And we're just like, yeah, man, like, that's awesome. Like, it was fun to watch you do your thing. Like, that was awesome. I loved it. I enjoyed watching you go out there and do your piano or do whatever the thing was that you meant something to you. You know what I mean? And he's, you know, people are going to be self-critical about their own performance because that's what they're invested in. But sometimes it's nice to have an outside, like you said, humanize, you know, the big picture. Sometimes that helps.
Right.
Welcome to Iron Performance Center, Niagara's home for real personal and performance training. We're a community obsessed with building durable, explosive, game-ready humans. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just training that works. From athletes chasing scholarships, to pros chasing championships, to regular people who just want to feel strong, move well, and stay built for real life. If you're willing to work, you're our people. Our system is simple: smart programming, elite coaching, and a culture that pushes you to levels you didn't know you had. With modern technology and principles-based programming, we track your progress, teach you movement skills, and give you every tool you need to perform when it matters most in whatever arena you call home. Iron Performance Center, because performance matters.
Takes the edge off.
Like you said, they can tell you're trying, you know? Like, you can recognize effort when you see it.
Yeah.
And the bigger your support system, the better. Like, even within my family, let's say, like, my mom has played 0 snaps of football ever, obviously. So, like, I'm going to talk to her one certain way versus my dad, who played 40 years ago, versus my brother, who was pretty much playing when I was playing, right? So, we can all kind of relate a little differently. Like, that is kind of, for me, that was good to get all those different perspectives coming back my way. My mom's just like, oh, I'm happy you're doing what you love. And she's just like, you know, sunshine and rainbows. Like, and that is actually helpful. And then my dad is maybe a certain way. But thankfully, like, I'm so thankful I never had that, you know, that dad that was like so, like I said, you get in the car and just like pissing out your leg. Should do this, should do that.
Overbearing.
He was never like that. He was never, ever like that. He was like nothing but supportive. Like you said, like I never really played a game where I didn't have my dad or my mom or my brother or Kayla or probably some combination of all 4 of them there. Like, so, and at the time it meant a lot to me, but like now you look back and it's like, it's almost like mind blowing. Like, first game ever I actually played in university was like in Saskatchewan preseason game. My dad like flew there. And I'm like one of like the few only like parents that flew out there, and I'm like, you know, like I said, at the time I was very thankful, but even looking back, it's just like, it's funny, that's the shit you remember. You know, we won a lot of big games and championships and shit like that, but I'm like, that preseason game, my first game I ever actually had like action in, like those stick out to you just as much, right?
I think it's important. I think athletes can, hopefully if they're listening, they can hear this and be like, okay, like this might not seem like a big deal now. It might seem expected, like my parents are supposed to show up. It's like, yeah, but you're going to look back, you know.
There's a lot of kids on that team whose parents are not showing up.
Yeah, you're going to look back and realize like your parents may not know of everything about what you're trying to do, and they're not supposed to. You know what I mean? I get some parents, you know, like parents might have been D1 sport athletes themselves, and they have their own perspective on things. And as long as I would say they're not overbearing. But again, there's not like a fucking playbook on how to parent an athlete, you know what I mean?
Especially if it's like your first kid playing a sport, like,
yeah,
you might have played sports.
And you might have brothers and sisters, and how they respond to parenting is going to be completely different, right? Like, you're not the same parent with your 2 kids. Like, they have different personalities, different ambitions, different responses. So there's not a fucking playbook for this, you know what I mean? So I would say, kids, you know, like athletes, cut your parents a break. They're trying their best.
Yeah.
And appreciate the fact that, you know, give them some love. Like, thank them for driving you to practice. Thank them for driving you to wherever. Thank them for paying for the hotel. Thank them for signing up for registration. Thank you for literally cooking you dinner when you get home. Thank them for, like, making your snacks and your lunches. And just thank them for just being there when shit hits the fan. Because that's what's going to happen. When you get to university and pro, coaches will care for you. Yes, absolutely. And I have, you know, good relationship with a lot of people that I've communicated with over the years from my athletic career. But in the moment, they have a job to do and they have decisions to make, but you're still human. You're going to need to rely on people when things go right, when things go wrong. And you're going to have to, you know, hopefully have some gratitude and be like, wow, you're you're more fortunate than you think you are to have one person that will be in your corner, even if they can't relate to what you're going through.
It's ironic. Sometimes you're getting that feedback you don't want, but it's a bit of a privileged problem to have. Because other kids won't even have anybody giving them feedback, right?
So, like, at least they care, you know?
Yeah.
They care enough to say something.
Just give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, your parents give a shit enough about you to support you and do what you want to do. They don't have all the answers, but maybe you can see the, you know, forest through trees a little bit and say, well, they're showing up, they're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying to be there for me.
And as a parent, like, give yourself some credit too, or give yourself a break, because I'm sure even Connor McDavid's parents had those awkward drives home where he only scored 5 goals instead of 7. You know what I mean? Like, relatively, he didn't play his best. And, like, you know, I'm kind of being facetious, but I'm sure even they had those awkward conversations on rides home that they had to deal with. So, like, any parent out there, like, you're not alone. Like, every single parent's probably dealing with it one way or another.
Yeah.
And just trying your best. Like,
yeah, I think it's a basic thing. You know what I mean? Just be grateful for someone that has your back in some regard. They don't have the answers. And parents, again, I get it. You want the best for your kids. And just be there to love and support them, and also give them the ability and the autonomy to try to solve problems on their own and ask good questions to prompt that. You know what I mean? Like, be supportive in a way that makes them take responsibility to get better, right? Let them ride the emotional wave, right? Like, ride the wave, so to speak, in terms of, like, the feeling, so they can better process it and then funnel it into something productive, right? Like, keep being there for them. Keep showing up. Just keep showing up. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing. Keep showing up. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have the right words to say. Literally just being present. It could be complete silence, but they're going to remember that as hard as that day was, like they didn't want to say a word to anybody, and you were just there.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's enough. You
That's
were
what
there.
I'm saying. Even the parents of the best athletes in history still had these, maybe less of these days, but they still had these days too when the kid didn't play so well. Maybe got cut from a team. It's funny, but the famous like Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team or whatever. Even his parents at some point had to be like, well, what do you want to do about it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Looking back, it's hard to show appreciation when you're in the moment. That's kind of
totally.
what this podcast is for right now. Just like advising you to show appreciation. Because looking back, like I feel like I could have done way more. Just like seeing everything they were doing in the background.
Yeah.
But like know that it is appreciated eventually.
Yeah, totally.
They'll remember it.
Right.
I would assume a lot of athletes remember it. Like they have to reflect on like, oh, if your journey, like
Oh, 100%.
anybody who like wins the Olympics or wins a pro, like who they want to thank. Oh, I want to thank my parents and there's a reason. Like they are grateful. You know what I mean? I think this is just an opportunity for them to listen. It's like just make it explicit, make it verbal. Like, say, hey, I just want to say thank you for having my back. Thank you for being there. Thanks for showing up. Hey,
Right.
thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. That sometimes is enough. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this fucking big flowers and chocolates thing, although it's Valentine's Day. But
I think there's
even a
something
well-deserved high five.
Yeah, sure.
right through the screen there, high five. I think there's something to be said too, like kind of pivoting a little bit, the support aspect on our Gen Pop side.
Oh, huge.
That's something I really would like to address because like a lot of people are, whether they're like starting on a fitness journey, trying to get back into the swing of things, back on the wagon, so to speak, or back on the horse, whatever the thing is. Whether you're in like a social group of like friends, whether you're like a spouse at home or something, I think it like can't be understated how important it is for you to be supportive as well, right? A lot of time things like, it seems so simple, but like let's say you go out for a meal, right? You order a bunch of like beers, chicken wings, pizza, nobody says anything.
Right.
You have that one friend trying to like maybe do a little better to get a salad with chicken, whatever, and a water, and everyone's like,
Come on, man. Why don't you just drink and
live a little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so as much as we're talking about the athlete side, I kind of want to dive like pretty briefly into like the other side of it too, and how you can be like a supportive partner or like friend to someone else that's trying to better themselves in a non-athletic realm.
It's crazy how like eating healthy is like taboo.
It's like taboo. It's like
Yeah.
fucked. Like,
It's
sorry,
taboo.
but it's
It's
like
kind of like,
crazy.
yeah, you go pizza and wings, and all of a sudden
Nobody
guy,
will say anything.
somebody orders a salad or something like that, or it gets water. All of a sudden they're like the outcast. It's like
Yeah.
normalized
Yeah.
to eat like shit.
Yeah.
with the friends. You know what I mean? Which is kind of weird.
You're gonna get your balls busted for like giving a shit about your health. It's crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, what, you're gonna wake up early to go to the gym? It's like, why is that weird?
Right.
Why? I think it's just
I think a lot of times it's insecurity about people that don't want to do
Yeah.
it. So it's like I don't want you
100%.
making me feel bad about
I'm
myself.
curious about other shit. Remember like when smoking in restaurants was like popular?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't smoke, you're like, what? No, all of a sudden
Yeah.
now
Kids
it's
these days
kinda-
don't know. Like, you used to be able to smoke in restaurants.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because when you're in the non-smoking room, like, it's just wafting over. It's just bullshit. Like,
I think it's like weird. Maybe it's like a time thing, but eventually like smoking cigarettes became taboo. It's like, oh, you smoke? Now it's weird, right? But like
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago, it was like, oh, you don't smoke.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Maybe this is bad for us, eh?
Yeah, all of a sudden-
thing's not.
all
A
of
lot of people are dying. You just notice?
All of a sudden, one guy smokes a cigarette, like, oh, that guy smoked. You know what I mean? So now
Right.
maybe it'll change. Like, what? That guy's having like a pizza and wings. Oh, that guy's not going to the gym at 7 a.m. Oh, you know what I
Right.
mean? Maybe it's like
I think there is like the big thing though about like you're kind of what's the word? I don't know, but like you're just putting it back on yourself. You're saying like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm not doing that well, so I got to put this guy down for doing better, taking
It's
care
a
of
defense
himself.
mechanism.
Right, really.
Yeah, you're making me feel bad about the things I'm not willing to do, so I'm going to bust your balls so that hopefully you'll engage in the same unhealthy behaviors that I'm engaging
Yeah,
in.
you're I need a co-signer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a co-signer on the quote unquote bad behavior.
Oh, and not to demonize any food, but yeah, like, oh, now you're eating a little healthier. Like, oh, shit, like, now I feel bad about myself. So, like,
Right.
maybe if I just,
I
bust
think-
you a little bit.
I think I on the Gen Pop thing. I think it really comes down to just being like glad, being like happy for them to initiate something, and I wouldn't even say pushing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, if you have people that come in here, for example, like it's like we have these little friend groups. Like
Yeah.
lean into the community a little bit. If you go to the gym, like be social, like lean into people because they're all on their own journey too, and they're supporting you, you're supporting them. Like it's almost like a little pre-built training partner community where everyone's just supporting each other.
Right.
But then outside the room too, it's like, like Jessica started coming to the gym too, and she always was nervous about working out and everything else like that. So before she started like lifting weights and stuff, she's like, "Oh, I think I'll do Pilates." And like, me, I'm not like. For me, it's like, hey, something is
Never
better.
took a Pilates class in your life, eh? You're on the machine with the thing.
Hey, I'm like,
Listen
I'm like, something is better than nothing. Honestly, like something is better than nothing.
Totally,
If that is your gateway to getting started and you are excited for it, I support you 100%. Like,
Sure.
go do that. Yes. Hey, when's your class? Fantastic. And I remember like to keep her on track, she'd always like, send me a selfie when, before starting class. I'm off to do it. And I'll be like, awesome, proud of you, keep going.
Yeah.
Right? And then now she's like, oh, now I want to start lifting. I said, okay, by all means, start showing up. And
But if you would have been shitting on the Pilates thing, then she might have never came
Never
to do the
got
weights,
started.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
So it's like whatever the gateway is for you to like be curious enough to like try. It's like that's the starting point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's better, best. It's besides the point.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing. If that's the gateway, lean into it. Do what you enjoy. I think if you're a spouse listening and your partner's trying something, like, lean into like supporting them. Be like, hey, yeah, I'm excited for you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying be overbearing, be like, oh, you got to show up for workout today. Oh my God, you got to do this, you got to do 10 sets. That's not enough.
20 ounces of broccoli and
You
your
know
chicken.
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's like that will come in time. But the first part, like we talk about all these podcasts, like it has to become habitual, consistent. Like there has to be some kind of enjoyment to become routine. And then once the routine's set, it almost becomes weird if they miss, right? So that's the kind of the habit you're trying to create. But there has to be a gateway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it really comes down to just being supportive and being happy and proud of a positive behavior. Co-sign a positive behavior versus a negative one. And don't become overbearing if that's not up to where you think it should be, where they're currently at. It's like, well, you should be doing more and more and more. It's like, well, they haven't done anything, right? And this is them trying. So it's like, support them trying.
Exactly.
You know
That's
what
where
I mean?
I think that's where it falls apart a lot. Like, hypothetically, somebody like Jessica says, hey, I want to start doing this Pilates thing. And then somebody like yourself goes, oh, what a waste of time. Like, look at me, I lift weights. This is what you should be doing. And then someone like Jessica would be like, then what the fuck's the point? Then if you're going to just shit on it right away, then why would I even try? And like that probably happens all too often.
Right.
So like that's a really good example that you gave of how it's gone in a positive direction.
Yeah, she started coming like once because she was very nervous. You know,
Yeah.
I get it. People have the same nerves. It's refreshing for me too because like obviously like we're around this all the time, but we always try to get perspectives of a bunch of feedback, right? Like what made you try it out now? Like what was your impression of the room? Like all these things. Like there's a lot of common things. Like it's intimidating. It's high energy. It's like
This is from her or just anybody?
From her, and then obviously
Yeah, okay.
people in general, right? But she had a lot of the same, I would say, hesitations like most people, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know if it's for me. Like, it's very athlete-based, everything else. Like, yeah, I'm like, no, but, lifting weights. Like, everyone has their own goal. Like, and then she came in, and then, like most people say, it's like, oh, this is not as bad as I thought. It's like, no, it's not as bad as you thought, right? Like, and now you're making friends, you're making connections. Like, you're almost
all the girls love her. They all talk to her. Yeah.
Exactly. So now you're excited to come, which is the point. Like now
Yeah.
you're looking forward to the next one, right? Like you have a little left in the tank. Like you didn't get beat up in your first workout. You didn't get beat up in the second workout. You're excited for the next one. You're curious to see what else you can do. And now you're trying to stack on more days. Great. So you're literally just riding the staircase of like, we're going the right direction at your pace.
Right.
Versus like, well, you should be doing this. Like, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Piss off, man. Like,
And this probably wouldn't have gone as well if you were just sitting at home one day and said, I own a gym, right? Like, why don't you come by
You should get off
sometime
your
and lift
ass
some
and like
weights?
move
Like,
something. Yeah, no.
and I only say it like that because a lot of time I think that is how it goes.
Right.
And of course the outcome's never good,
Yeah.
right? So
it's like, well, how would you respond? Like, you know what I mean? It's no different than me trying to say, maybe I'll go try to learn piano or some shit. And someone's like, well,
why don't you just play the drums? Like, what's a piano?
Yeah,
Learn a
yeah,
piano
like,
now?
yeah.
Come on.
oh,
Like,
yeah, you're too old. You're just like, okay, well, fuck it. Why bother? Why try anything?
Yeah.
Why be curious of anything when you
Totally.
have people that are just
Right.
gonna, you know what I mean? I'm sure it's at a place of like, well, I would assume it's at a place of well intention.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, but like, again? There's a gateway here. It's like if they're curious, don't squander it, especially if it's a positive thing. Like, hey, I'm trying to read a book. It's like, oh, I gotta stay up late and do this. Like, oh, fuck
Yeah.
off. Like,
Yeah.
it's a positive behavior. It's a positive thing. They're not smoking weed. They're not doing drugs. They're not sitting their ass eating fucking chips or fucking
Right.
staying up to 2 a.m. It's like they're trying something that is gonna be positive for their overall lifestyle. What's the simplest way for them to do it? Encourage that. Like, that's a great first step. I'm sure there's always ways that could be better. There's always going to be a better way. It doesn't matter what better. It's what's great for right now.
Yeah.
Win this action. Okay, great. You're going to start. That's your gateway. Do
Yeah,
that.
totally.
I think with this support system for like our population we're talking about, it really comes down to celebrating little wins, maybe even more than our athlete side. Like they got plenty to celebrate when they win a game, they have a good practice, they do something great in a situation. But in this population, little wins are gonna be so important. So important.
Yeah, especially like celebrating the process.
Yeah.
For them,
like,
right?
Hey, you went to the
Imagine-
gym 2 times this week? Crazy,
Unreal.
incredible.
Yeah.
Imagine spring comes and Jessica goes, hey, I want to drop one weightlifting thing and I want to start running outside. It's nice out. I want to get outside. What are you going to say? No?
Yeah.
Great.
Come on. We're gym guys now. Like, you'd be like, yo, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah, go do it.
you know?
If it brings you joy, it's like, yeah, it's a good thing. Go do
Right.
it. You know,
Exactly.
if it makes you feel good, you enjoy doing it, it's obviously, it's a healthy habit, go for it. Like, I'm
Right.
all for it. If that's your thing, I'm all for it. It doesn't mean it has to be this or that. Both can be true.
Right.
Both can be good.
and it doesn't have to be that forever.
Yeah, it's no different than a lot of our people, right? Like Dave did rowing, then he wanted to get bigger. Then all of a sudden Scott wants to powerlift, and all of a sudden people try. It's a rolling bar of objectives. The whole point, but the fundamental common denominator is they're consistent with the habit of this is a routine that's good for my health and well-being long term, and you find enjoyment, and you have some quantifiable objectives. And like you said, you're celebrating the process by these wins. It's like, hey, you showed up 4 times a week. That's phenomenal. Great for you. Yeah, like that's great stack of brick today. You know what I mean? Like, or if someone's like having a bad day, it's like, hey, you know what? Look at you, but you still showed up. You walked in the door and you did something. That's more than you wouldn't have done if you didn't show up today. So it's like that's a win for today. Like that's the win in the day, and that alone
that'll change their entire attitude about their week, day, whatever. Like they thought they were having a bad week, they're falling off. You told them they did well by coming in that one day, and now they're back on track.
Which it's like that's the truth.
And that's kind of like the athletic example. It's easy to find all the bad plays I had, and same thing for these people. It's easy to find, I ate chips. I did 3 workouts instead of 4. I did whatever. I stayed up till 11 one night instead of 10 like I said I would. But then when we can reframe it and say, yeah, but 2025 you wouldn't have even gone to the gym once a week.
Right.
And you just went 3. That's amazing. Like, it's just about reframing it and keeping the wind in the sails and moving in the positive direction.
Everyone's very critical of their own habits, but again, tying it all back to the support system, it's like having that person or that support or that pillar, whatever you want to call it, that can reinforce the positive behaviors and help provide guidance for, correcting what we can quote unquote call negative behaviors. You want to call it that? I think it makes all the difference. You know what I mean? It's not about being perfect. It's just, is this better than it was before? Yeah. Is this a gateway for them to get started in something that's going to be better for them long term? Absolutely. Like, I don't think anyone's going to argue that eating healthier and exercising and having a structured training program is going to be bad for your health.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get all the hesitations that most people are like, I don't know if I can stick with it. I don't know if it's right for me. I don't know, hesitant of the atmosphere. I don't know. I gotta work out first before I start training. It's like, well, no, that's like cleaning your house before the maid comes. That makes no sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just got to start.
If that were true for any prospective client that they had to like work out before they came here, then like we suck at our job.
Yeah.
Because we can't meet you where you're at. You know what I mean? Like, of course we know how to meet you where you're at and bring you to where you want to go.
You know what I mean? I think it just, so if anyone's has partners or spouse or whatever their sport network looks like that's a simple thing. Just be grateful that you have someone in your corner that's supporting you on your positive behaviors and reciprocate that. Spread the love around if you want to call it that. Just be that person for someone else. Like if you have friends or if you have colleagues that are trying something new, encourage behaviors. You know what I mean? And even if they fall off and get back on again, say, okay, well, that's probably going to happen sometimes, but there's still wins and they're still better than we were before. Then keep celebrating them. I'm not saying like just co-sign bad behavior and say, oh, it's okay.
Don't just enable BS.
Yeah, I'm not saying enable bullshit. You know what I mean? There's going to be a time where, again, if they keep saying drop off, again, you could be the guy and be like, well, why do you keep dropping off?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that? And then maybe they'll self-organize and figure out for themselves. Or you might be honest with, okay, well, maybe this is not a good time for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean you're enabling bad behavior, but you can support the positive behaviors. You know what I mean? There's a way to do both.
I think it's a good point because a lot of time people start and they bite off more than they can chew or whatever. Yeah. So, like, they fall off the wagon because the wagon is, I need to train 5 days a week.
Yeah. So
then the question would be like, well, hey, why don't you just start with 2 or 3? Right? That's a supportive, realistic question. Instead of somebody saying, well, why don't you just, put your head out of your ass and just do the 5 you said you would. Like, that's not helping anybody. Right?
No, it goes back to like psychology and behavior. It's kind of like, how confident are you that you can actually do the thing? If you say you're going to do something on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident you can go to the gym 5 days a week? Probably like 5 or 6 out of 10. I might be able to make it. Okay, then let's backtrack. How about twice a week? I mean, I could probably do like maybe 7 or 8. Okay, well, how about once? Oh, definitely 10 out of 10. I can do that. Start there.
Yeah.
Start there.
Right.
Because that can always be added on. Like, start there. Get excited about it. Make it a habit to do that. 10 out of 10 confidence.
Yeah.
And then reevaluate and say, okay, how confident are you now you can do twice? Oh, 9 or 10. Great. Let's try it twice. And all of a sudden make that a habit. And just builds on. And no different than how we tell our athletes, right? Like, once you kind of start doing that, you literally will rearrange your whole ecosystem or your whole lifestyle around those behaviors now, because it becomes a non-negotiable. Like, once a routine is so set, it becomes a non-negotiable. Like, you're working out 3 or 4 times a week. Okay, so now you're like going to bed at a certain time. You're eating certain foods. Like, you're literally trying to rearrange everything around the healthier habits because they're so ingrained in your routine.
You don't even really know their habits once they're habits, right? Like,
you've really. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's just like, you go to the gym 2-3 times a week, and like people question that, and you're just like, well, that's just the way I do things. Like, that's
you've really won when you feel weird not doing it.
Yeah.
that person goes, man, I only went 2 times this week. Like,
Yeah, you feel
not in a
rusty.
guilty way, but they're like, man, I really wish I would have did 3.
Yeah.
Next week I got to do 3.
It gives you anxiety, or it gives you like
Yeah.
I feel gross if I didn't work out like
Right.
4 times a week.
And then you kind of go back.
When you
hey,
get there
like-
by self-discovery, that's huge.
Yeah, it's
Right.
crazy because now your body's like, this is not normal. You're like,
Right.
that means my workout routine is normal now. It's
Yeah.
no longer
Really
like
normal, yeah.
it's normalized. Like I can't function if I don't do this. That's a great place to be. Your body's already rejecting the fact that you're not doing something.
100%.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a cool again, a little segue off on habit building, but I think that's a cool aspect. You know what I mean? Like start whatever the gateway is for anybody. You know what I mean? Like that's a simple support. Celebrate the wins. I think we've done a great job a lot of ways. We're always looking for feedback on that, but I think celebrating the fact that, hey, you're showing up, which is the first step. You walked in the door. You took time out of your day to drive to the gym, prepared. Whatever you got in the tank, you're walking the door. You're doing something productive.
And you said yes to doing that, which means you also naturally said no to doing some of the other
Exactly.
unhealthy things you may otherwise be doing, laying on the couch scrolling.
Yeah,
whatever.
you said no. You didn't negotiate with yourself.
Yeah.
You didn't negotiate with yourself. And those little demons on your shoulder saying, "Oh, you don't have to go today. Sleep in. It's too this. It's too that." No, you beat that. That's a win right there. You know what I mean? We have like the committed club, which is like, hey, like, congratulations, you checked in 12 times this month. Great job. Fantastic. That I think helped people a lot. Be like, okay, wow, like I can do it. I'm only 2 workouts away. Okay, I can do this. Be like, yeah, you're right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whatever those little small
And these
wins
streaks
are
are showing that you can do it. You can
Yeah.
become a habit. Like
Yeah,
people are
it's
on their
like-
8th month now, 9th month.
Yeah, we're getting
Eventually,
close. Like
yeah.
7 or 8, whatever months. You're like, wow, that's look at you go. You know what I mean? Like,
And
look
you're
at
seeing
you.
other people in the community do it who are not that different than you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're seeing other committed club members. You're like, oh, also he or she, full-time job, kids, whatever. And so they can do it. Why can't I do it? Right?
Yeah, it's huge. So it's like that. That is another pillar of support. Is like the community that's, while they all have different ambitions, they're all like in parallel, kind of running the same, rowing the same boat. You know what I mean? They can maybe different direction, but you're all rowing the same boat together.
Right.
So that kind of support is phenomenal. So I think kind of put a bow on it for the the Valentine's Day episode. Athletes, show your parents some love. You know what I mean? Like give them a thank you, give them a hug. Like just verbalize. If again, we love hearing it too as coaches. Like just anytime an athlete says like thank you for having my back, it does mean the world to hear that. So I'm sure your parents would love to hear that. A simple thank you for driving, for registering you, for just being there. If they're showing up to your games or just being there at your practice, or just literally being there in general to comfort you. Like give them a thank you. Parents, keep doing the job. Right, be the best support system you can. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything. But sometimes just knowing your role in that support system, like whether it be a sounding board for an event, whether it be asking you questions to help them self-organize and become autonomous athletes and honestly, autonomous individuals and people of character, be that person. And for all the people out there that are just trying to get healthy and exercise, just start. Whatever your gateway is, just start, and then have hopefully the partners, those people, just be supportive of that. Be happy and excited that they're trying something positive for their lifestyle. Be human. You know what I mean? Give a shit. It doesn't be perfect. Just give a shit. You don't have to provide feedback or anything, but just give a shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a Valentine's Day episode.
Put a bow on that.
Well, people, happy Valentine's Day.
Put a bow on that box of chocolate.
Yeah, put a bow on it, get some flowers, and just thank somebody. Just be thankful. All right, guys, that is it. That is the Performance Matters Podcast. As always, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Like, subscribe, and share. And, of course, join the community, right? Be what the cool kids are. Be a subscriber. Be a follower. There's always tons of rants, great resources. You know where to find us. So, again, like, share with your friends. Happy Valentine's Day. I don't know what the kids do with this shit.
I'm not doing
I
it.
saw you go this way.
I don't
See someone going this
I don't
way.
They do half.
Well, hold on. The heart's facing.
You used to need
Hey,
half.
give me another.
Yeah,
How do
there
you
you
the,
go.
how do you the,
Happy Valentine's
how do you
Day.
the fucking, that's so fucking, peace.